Good morning, YouTube. So I run the fuel lines from the tanks to the filters and installed the filters. These are water separators, so they'll help keep any water out of the engines. Got two filters, one for each engine, and I'll leave the lines that go from there to the motors for the installers to do. Started mapping out where I wanted my door to my storage locker that's in the floor, so I had the seats put in temporarily while I figured out spacing and such. Got that done. These are the seat. When you're sitting in the seats, your legs are actually off the floor, so you need a place to put your feet. So that's what these are, just foot stands. Old holes in the bow where the anchor locker used to be and the old anchor rope used to drop into. I'm having a different system, so I've filled those in and ground them out to fiberglass them. So I filled them, fiberglassed them, and as you'll see later, I did some fairing compound over top. So here I've got, you can't see it in the picture, but there is a felt marker for where I'm having the door for the storage locker put in. So went ahead and cut that out. And then as you can see, I actually have an access hatch below that goes right to the bottom of the boat. So I can see if there's any standing water in there or any issues. Got several pictures of this, and as you can see, the floor is not primed yet, and you'll see in a later picture I actually went ahead and here you go, it's primed. I used an epoxy primer to do the floor, and that's just to seal it up from the UV rays hurting the epoxy. Turned out really well. It's starting to look like a nice clean boat, and I'm very happy with how things are turning out. Still a ton more work to do. I've got to pick out my flooring choice. I think I'm going to go with an EVA foam, but I'm still undecided. Here you go. Here's the picture of the bow with the fairing compound in. So I fiberglassed it, sanded it all down, and then just put a skim coat of the fairing compound on. Locker door is in. Fits well. I got to do some adjusting. There's a bit more gap than I like, so I'm going to adjust that up, and I was also going to run a seal around it to help keep water out. Not that there will be water in there because it's undercover. The little black spot that's on the floor there, that's another hatch access for my fuel lines where they enter the fuel tank. So I can always pop that open, make sure there's no leaks, and if I have to do any tightening of the fittings or anything, I have access to that. So that was something I wanted to have in there. Here I'm just lifting the roof. So it was time to get the roof off the boat as I'm going to redoing the windows. So what I did is I undid all the bolts that hold it down. Most of them ended up breaking off because they were so rusted. So it was a good thing this is being done anyways. So then I jacked it up and just popped it loose from the silicone and such that was holding it down. And then I slid some 2x4s underneath the roof. So you can see here 2x4s underneath. And then what we did is we actually fastened it with some rope to those 2x4s. We put two 4x4s on the side of the boat, spaced the same as the 2x4s are there, and they were on about a 45-degree angle down to some sawhorses. And I lifted the roof and slid it down and then ended up putting it onto the sawhorses. So it was actually pretty simple to do. Here it is without the roof. This is where a lot more work starts of mapping out the new windows and building the supports for those, and then modifying the roof to fit the new windows. So I'm excited for this stage as this is really going to transform the look of the boat.